it's cool to see you kind of developing, like you went from this identity as a scientist, right? And you may have identified as other things, but I think primarily you saw yourself as a scientist, right? To now you're kind of starting adding all these hyphens to like what it is that you do, right? I mean, we went wine tasting yesterday, and you have a ton of knowledge about wine. It's like really impressive, and it's something that you've learned over the past year or so, right? I mean, of course it's a building of skills, and it's a way for you to communicate with people. It's access to the wine industry, which is really interesting, and it's kind of cool to see that, like, yeah, your work as a scientist may have changed, but you're kind of moving into the next thing. You're kind of graduating into the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've caught myself like daydreaming sometimes, like, oh, is this something like I enjoy enough that I want to do more with it? Like, do I want to learn more? I mean, I've made wine before. I'm a brewer, as you know, so I make mostly beer. But I've thought about like, oh, would that be fun to like be involved with a winery on the business side or whatever? I mean, I don't think I want to own one. I don't think that sounds very attractive to me, but I've wondered. But yeah, it has been fun to build skills. It was like something that was very hobby. I guess that's the right word to use. Like, I used to go wine tasting a lot, where I used to live.
This
and
is a cheaper way to do it.
I learned a lot about it. This is definitely a lower cost area to do it in, and doing it as an industry person, there's a lot of discounting and free tastings and things. So yeah, I get a lot of on-the-job training / entertainment, and both Lori and I really enjoy that. So it is one of the parts, it is one of the reasons why we moved to a region where a lot of wine is made.
Yeah, right. I know it makes so much sense seeing you guys here. It feels very natural, like a natural fit. Whatever happened to I was always thinking you were going to do like your own brewery.
Yeah.
Like, what did somebody disabuse you of that notion?
No, I mean, well, maybe a little, but I think, and you're not alone in that. And honestly, I probably telegraphed that potential future more than any other one when people would ask me, like at my former job.
Yeah.
Like when the note went out that I was going to be leaving the company in a month, like every other person who knows me well, like would say like, oh, is it time to open the brewery?
Yeah.
I don't know. It still sometimes feels like more of a romantic idea.
Yeah.
Like the idea of like owning a brick and mortar business with hard product and like having to deal with seasonality and all that stuff as a small business owner, which you know better than most people. It starts to feel unattractive. Like originally, earlier on, it was like, well, the capital outlay to start a small brewery is a lot. Like getting money, right? You're definitely going to take money on something like that. I'm not going to self-fund that. It sounds silly. So I used to worry more about the money side. Like, oh, is that smart? Now it's totally different, where it's like, do I really want to tie myself down to a business like that that's going to take probably 2 years to get off the ground and open, and then I'm going to be saddled with something where in 2 years from now, my daughter's in college, and we have the freedom now to travel how we want. And oh, by the way, I now have a new business that's open and customers who hopefully like what I do. Well, now do I have to hire people? And do I want to do that? Do I want to sell a business? Like, so more often these days, like that's what I find myself. And I think Lori is largely in agreement with that idea. I mean, we still both have this romantic idea, like, oh, it'd be cool to like have something we made and talk to people about it. But sometimes I feel like maybe I'm scratching that itch by doing the winery job. I'm just talking about somebody else's product, which is great and is easy to talk about because it's really good. I didn't have to make it or take on any of the overhead, and I can quit the job anytime I want if I suddenly don't like it. That's the complete opposite of starting a brewery. So
it's like renting the career versus owning the career.
That's a really good way to look at it. I'm going to steal that idea.
Part of me wonders, you working, or like, I mean, you've been in some breweries helping to can stuff, and like you've seen really how the sausage is made on the business side of it. It's very different than that. It probably shone a light on the realities of that, you know.
Yeah.
Was that helpful? Or?
It is. I mean, yeah, and I did do a day helping out on the packaging line with canning and bottling, and
you texted me that day.
Yeah, I know I did. I was so glad to do it. It was aspects of it were fun, but I kept finding myself echoing what a friend of mine who works in the industry told me once. He's like, you don't want to do that, man. He's like, brewing's a young guy's game. Like, you don't want to do that. And I see, like, you know, this place is much larger than anything I would be involved with, but like, you know, when the forklift goes down or whatever, like they're carrying 50-pound bags of grain around and like carrying them up ladders and like dumping them in. Like that sounds awful. Like I don't want to carry 50-pound potting soil that I get asked to carry.
Does the head brewer do that?
No, not well. Head brewer might, but brewmaster no.
Yeah, and you can't just rocket ship to the brewmaster position.
And not unless you start it yourself. Right. But then either you're hiring a brewer, which is what is recommended by everybody who I've ever talked to, or you're doing it yourself. Yeah. Which at nearly 50, admittedly sounds a little stupid. It sounds a little stupid because anytime I've like found myself getting more back into like manual labor, like working on this landscaping around you here, like doing like tens of loads of hundreds of pounds of gravel, like I don't really like that. And I have full respect for anybody who does that as a career or a hobby because it's really hard. Yeah, I'd rather make beer at a low scale and share it with people than, yeah.